Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our English Plus podcast. Today, we're talking about something really meaningful dreams and goals. I'm Emma.
And I'm Daniel. This is one of my favorite topics because dreams are exciting, but goals are what actually make them real.
Exactly. So let's start with a simple question. Daniel, what's a dream you've had since you were younger?
Hmm. Since I was a kid, I always dreamed of starting my own business. I didn't know exactly what kind, but I loved the idea of creating something from nothing.
That's powerful. For me, I always dreamed of traveling the world, not just for fun, but to experience different cultures and perspectives.
And have you started working on that dream?
Yes, little by little. I've realized that dreams don't happen overnight. You have to turn them into goals. So I started saving money, learning languages, and planning trips.
That's a great example. A dream is like the big picture, but goals are the steps you take to get there.
Exactly. So what about your business dream? Did you turn it into goals?
Yes. First, I educated myself. Books, courses, even podcasts like this one. Then I set small goals, like creating a business plan and saving startup money.
I love that. Sometimes people feel overwhelmed because their dreams seem too big.
Right, and that's where breaking things down helps. Instead of thinking, I want to be successful, you think, what can I do today?
Yes, daily actions matter. Even small steps count.
Also, I think mindset plays a big role. If you don't believe in your dream, it's hard to stay motivated.
Totally agree. And it's important to accept that failure is part of the process.
Absolutely. I failed many times, but each failure taught me something valuable.
Same here. Failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of it.
That's a great quote. So, Emma, what advice would you give to someone who feels stuck?
I'd say start small, but start now. Don't wait for the perfect moment because it doesn't exist.
That's so true. I'd add, surround yourself with people who support your goals.
Yes, your environment matters a lot.
Before we finish, let's ask our listeners a question.
Good idea. What's one dream you have, and what's one step you can take today to get closer to it?
Write it down, take action, and don't give up.
Before we ended, we asked you to think about one dream and one action step. Daniel, I've been thinking, what do you think stops people the most from following their dreams?
Honestly, fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, and sometimes even fear of success.
Fear of success? That's interesting. What do you mean by that?
Well, sometimes people are afraid of the responsibility that comes with success. Their life changes, expectations grow, and that can feel overwhelming.
That makes sense. I think another big obstacle is self-doubt. That little voice that says, you're not good enough.
Yes, that voice can be very loud. But I've learned that confidence doesn't come before action, it comes after.
That's such an important point. People often wait to feel ready, but readiness comes from doing.
Exactly. You gain clarity by taking action, not by overthinking.
Let's talk about habits. Because dreams and goals are great, but without habits, it's hard to stay consistent.
Absolutely. Habits are like the system behind your success. For example, waking up early, reading daily, or setting priorities.
For me, journaling has been very helpful. Writing down my goals keeps me focused.
That's a great habit. I also like reviewing my goals every week. It keeps me aligned.
Do you think discipline is more important than motivation?
100%. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline keeps you moving forward even when you don't feel like it.
I agree. There are days when I don't feel motivated at all, but I still try to take at least one small step.
And those small steps add up over time. That's how progress really happens.
Let's share a personal challenge. Daniel, what's something you struggled with while working toward your goals?
For me, it was consistency. I would start strong, but then lose focus after a few weeks.
That's very relatable.
Yeah, and I realized I was setting goals that were too big, without a clear plan. Once I broke them into smaller tasks, it became easier.
For me, it was fear of judgment. I worried too much about what others would think.
That's a tough one. How did you overcome it?
I reminded myself that people are usually too busy with their own lives to judge yours.
That's so true.
And even if they do judge, it shouldn't stop you from living your life. Let's talk about visualization. Do you believe in it?
Yes, I do. I think imagining your success can help you stay motivated and focused.
Same here. When I visualize my goals, they feel more real.
But I also think it's important to combine visualization with action.
Definitely. You can't just dream. You have to do the work.
Another thing that helped me is tracking progress. Even small wins matter.
Yes. Celebrating small victories keeps you motivated.
Exactly. Progress is progress, no matter how small.
Let's give our listeners a simple exercise.
Great idea.
Take a piece of paper and write down your biggest dream.
Then write 3 small actions you can take this week.
And finally, commit to doing at least one of them today.
That's how change begins.
Before we wrap up, let's talk about balance. How do you balance chasing goals and enjoying life?
That's a great question. I think it's important to enjoy the journey, not just focus on the destination.
I love that.
If you only focus on the end goal, you might miss the present moment.
Exactly. Life is happening now, not just in the future.
So take breaks, spend time with loved ones, and celebrate where you are.
Beautifully said.
All right, Emma, final thoughts?
Dream big, start small, and stay consistent.
And remember, your dreams are possible if you take action.
If you've been listening with us, you already know we've been diving deep into dreams and goals. But now, let's talk about something very real. The moments when you feel like giving up.
Yeah, those moments happen to everyone. No matter how motivated or disciplined you are, there will be days when everything feels difficult.
Exactly. So what do you do when you lose motivation completely?
For me, I go back to my why. I remind myself why I started in the first place.
That's powerful. Your why gives meaning to your effort.
Yes, and when your reason is strong enough, it helps you push through hard times.
I also think it's important to rest. Sometimes we think we need to push harder, but what we really need is a break.
I agree. Rest is not quitting. It's part of the process.
Exactly. Burnout can destroy your progress if you don't manage your energy.
Let's talk about comparison. Social media makes it easy to compare your journey with others.
Oh yes, that's a big one. People often compare their beginning to someone else's success.
And that's unfair. Everyone has a different timeline.
Right. You don't see the struggles behind someone else's success.
That's why it's better to focus on your own progress.
Let's shift a bit. What about setting realistic goals?
That's important. If your goals are too unrealistic, you can feel frustrated quickly.
Yes, but at the same time, they should challenge you.
Exactly. There's a balance between realistic and ambitious.
Let's talk about long-term versus short-term goals.
Short-term goals help you stay focused daily, while long-term goals give you direction.
I like to think of long-term goals as the destination, and short-term goals as the steps.
That's a great way to put it.
Do you write your goals down or keep them in your mind?
I always write them down. It makes them more real and measurable.
Same here. And I review them often.
Another key factor is accountability. Having someone who checks your progress can make a big difference.
Yes. Whether it's a friend, a mentor, or even an online community.
Accountability keeps you responsible for your actions.
Let's talk about learning. How important is continuous learning for achieving goals?
It's essential. The more you learn, the more tools you have to succeed.
And learning doesn't always mean formal education.
Exactly. It can be books, podcasts, experiences, or even failures.
I've learned some of my biggest lessons from mistakes.
Same here. Mistakes are great teachers if you're willing to learn.
Let's talk about time management.
One of the biggest challenges.
Yes, we all have the same 24 hours, but we use them differently.
For me, prioritizing tasks has helped a lot.
Do you use a to-do list?
Yes, every day. It keeps me organized.
Same. And I try to focus on the most important tasks first.
That's key. Not all tasks have the same value.
Let's talk about persistence.
Persistence is what separates people who succeed from those who quit.
It's about continuing even when things are hard.
Exactly. Success is often closer than you think when you feel like giving up.
That's so true.
Let's give our listeners another challenge.
Okay,
Think about one goal you've been postponing.
and ask yourself, what's stopping you?
Then take one small step today.
Action creates momentum.
And momentum creates results.
Before we close, let's talk about gratitude.
That's a great topic.
Sometimes we focus so much on what we want that we forget what we already have.
Gratitude helps you stay positive and grounded.
And it reminds you how far you've come.
Exactly.
All right, final message for today.
Don't give up on your dreams, even when the journey gets hard.
And remember, every small step counts.
Thank you for being with us on this journey.
We truly appreciate you. See you next time. Bye.